There are 6 main guidelines of the IDEA laws, and I'm going to go through each one of them. The first one is called zero reject. This is the prohibiting of a student from being excluded from school due to them violating a rule that was through a behavior caused by their disability. I had an example of this when I was in the classroom. In a kindergarten down the hall from me, there was a little girl who had an IEP for emotional and behavioral reasons. And in her IEP, she was allowed to hit a teacher or a student 3 times before she was removed from the classroom and disciplined. Now, this may sound like I'm joking because it sounds horrible, but her control through her disability allowed her to have 3 chances each day. In the process, though, teachers and students were being hit and kicked every single day, and eventually she was removed from the classroom because the other parents were filing a lawsuit against the school because their children were being harmed. So we see zero reject, but we also see that other children can't be harmed, and we need to find the environment that balances the two of those. So she wasn't excluded from school just for that reason, but it was when she was harming others that we had to step in. The next guideline is how students are evaluated, and we must give them non-discriminatory, multidisciplinary assessments. That means many different facets, and they must be completed in the child's first language using a team of evaluators, so there is no discrimination or misdiagnosis in these evaluations. The third guideline is FAPE, also known as Free and Appropriate Education. Educators must plan to individually meet the educational needs of their students and give them related services based on what their IEP states needed for their disability. The free part is the emphasis here because parents and families are not required to pay for services required within a disability. Through their IEP, these services are free through the school district, and so that's a benefit to the families. The next guideline is the environment, and this is where we see inclusion coming into play these days. Students should be merged into a learning environment that offers the least restrictions. So we want them in the most natural environment that we can be in, but we have to make sure that that is the best learning place for them. So the environment has to be a balance, the least restrictive environment that they can learn in. And we do sometimes take into consideration how much of a distraction they are to the learning of others, but it's more what is the best place for them to learn. The fifth guideline is due process, and this is the rights of parents to know that the school is accountable for the rights and the privacy and the procedures set forth in that IEP. And if they do not meet those legal obligations, then you can sue them. And whenever you go in and you sign your IEP for your child, they include a legal note on due process giving you a written notification of your rights as a parent if a school does not uphold their end of the IEP. The last guideline is participation, and this is the requirement of collaboration between parents and teachers and schools, and includes adolescents when they're old enough to design and carry out their special education program. And I know my daughter has an IEP for the gifted program, and now that she is in middle school, she is actually a collaborator as she comes to her IEP meetings, where in the past, when she was younger, it was just the parents and the teachers meeting together. But now we collaborate with her. So soon as a student feels ready to collaborate, that they're allowed to be part of that process in evaluating and goal setting.